Cześć! Welcome to the channel. My name is Rob, and I am going to look at Polish music, the favourite hits from 1974 all the way up to 2023. And what I want to do for each decade is compare what it was like in Poland compared to what music was popular in the UK. So, let's listen to some tunes.
Słońca w całym mieście, nie
This is
widziałeś
old school.
tego jeszcze, popatrz, o, popatrz.
A po nocy przychodzi dzień, a po burzy spokój.
A real mix.
Zacznij od Pana, nim słońce.
Złoty krążek mi wcisnął na rękę.
I like
Nic
this.
nie może przecież wiecznie
Anna
trwać,
Yantar.
bo zesłał los trzeba będzie stracić.
Okay, that is the first set from 74 to 79. Now, actually, I was quite surprised. That first one in 74 was pretty old. It's almost was a Eurovision song, it seemed like. But comparing both the UK and Poland, actually in both countries in the 70s, rock was big. Now, obviously in the UK, rock, glam rock, punk rock, so Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, David Bowie, Queen, the Sex Pistols, the Clash were the big ones in the UK. Whereas in Poland, it was rock and folk and protest songs because of the country's political landscape at the time. That was a lot of the big difference. It was similar sounds, a lot of rock, but there was those political protest songs that really made the difference. Czesław Niemen, I think he does the Days of the Week song. I can't remember what it's called, but that's a really good song. Protest songs from people like Marek Grehuca. But that was the difference. Both countries saw rock dominate, but Poland's hard rock had political themes. That is the big thing. But don't get me wrong, people like the Sex Pistols and the Clash, obviously punk rock, but it was anti-establishment as well. So there was similarities there. Okay, on to the 80s.
Lubię wracać tam, gdzie byłem już, pod ten balkon pełen pnących róż.
She sounds very much like Blondie. Blondie was awesome. Very much similar sound, that is. Cracking song. And I've only just listened to a small snippet.
Nie liczę godzin i lat, to życie mija, nie ja.
Daj tej dziewczynie czyste ręce idź.
Już nie ma dzikich plaż, na których zbierałam bursztyny.
Mój jest ten kawałek podłogi.
Mr. Zoom.
Przeżyłam z tobą tyle lat.
That sounds Eurovision-y. Okay, that is the 80s, and that was a massive, massive difference compared to the 70s, and very similar. What I'm already finding is it's very similar to what the UK had, but with slight variations. Now, in the UK, you would have new wave, you would have synth pop, Depeche Mode, Duran Duran. You had similar there. You had the new wave and the post-punk with Republica and Manam. There's also pop. Pop surely is in every era because pop just stands for popular. So yeah, Michael Jackson, Madonna. Poland would have had Ursula or Combi. Then you've obviously got rock. Rock stays all the time. We got U2, the Smiths. Whereas once again, still, because it's still the 80s, you would have still had a lot of the political style songs that are trying to make a statement. You know, both countries embraced new wave, but I think Poland's was more underground, whereas less so in the UK. It was out in the open for everyone. Pop was significant in both countries, but I think that is very much the same everywhere, isn't it? Because pop is there in your face, whether you like it or not. And then obviously, yeah, Polish underground music had that political resistance angle, and that was obviously the main difference, I would say. Okay, on to the 90s. This is my era of music. I am a 1990s child, so that was my childhood, 90s music. S Club 7 and all that. Oh, yes, S Club.
Nie żałuję, przeciwnie.
Nice slow ballad.
Bardzo ci dziękuję.
Wszyscy mamy źle w głowach, że żyjemy. Hej, la, la, la.
I would say, and you may be able to say this about the UK, it does almost seem like some of these Polish people don't really look like singers. Like the guy singing now does not really look like a typical singer.
Kiedyś znajdę dla nas dom z wielkim oknem na świat. To nie dowiem, tak się zwierza w czerwcową noc, lecz ludziom wszędzie na...
Lubiła tańczyć, pełna radości, tak ciągle goniła wiatr.
Teraz, gdy w ruchomych
That is 90s, definitely. That's similar to the UK.
Królową bądź, tylko moc, nie zostawię i nie odchodź ze mną. I nawet kiedy będę sam,
That's similar.
nie zmienię się.
Okay, that was the 90s. Some similarities there as well. So the UK would have had Britpop, Oasis, Blur, those sort of bands. Britpop was huge in the 90s for sure. And we would have had dance, electronic, Prodigy and Fatboy Slim. Fatboy Slim was huge as well, still is pretty big. Hip hop and R&B obviously started really, I think, probably coming over from the States with Tupac, Destiny's Child. Like Destiny's Child was sort of a mix of hip hop, R&B, but also a bit of pop as well. And over in Poland, you're still getting that rock. Rock seems to be big in a lot of Eastern European countries. I know you don't like it, but still. You obviously had Disco Polo, which is pretty unique to Poland. It's the songs that you do quite like but pretend not to like. It's catchy, and we certainly don't think in the UK would have Disco Polo, I'm pretty sure. So in the 90s, like, both had strong rock scenes, okay, but I think with Britpop took over more and Poland had that more traditional rock. I think UK embraced the dance and electronic a lot more, and Poland went for the Disco Polo. But obviously, Western hip hop from the States and things, that certainly would have influenced both countries fairly similar, but possibly less so Poland, just because, once again, the political side of things. However, from the 90s, obviously, the Soviets, it wasn't a Soviet communism occupation. So Poland was starting to sort of modernize, more Western style. So similarities, but also a fair amount of differences as well. Okay, on to the 2000s.
Biorę cię właśnie tam,
It's a bit depressing.
gdzie słońce. Każdy myśli to, co myśli. Myśli sobie moja głowa. Może w końcu mi się uda. Piękne jak okres.
That's 2000s, definitely.
Chcę tu
2000s.
założy jej już nikt.
Żono moja, serce moje.
Okay, straight away, Masters, Żona Moja. That is the sort of thing when you go on holiday to places like Paphos in Cyprus or whatever, and that's the sort of music you hear in the clubs. Like this weird sort of music that you only hear in those sort of places when you're on holiday. You wouldn't ever hear it any other time. That's what that reminds me of.
Nie ma takich. Jestem tego pewny. Głębiej duszy o tym wiem, że gdzieś na szczycie góry. A potem spadł.
Okay, that was the 2000s. So, in the 2000s in the UK, you had a lot of pop. A lot of pop. Robbie Williams, Britney Spears, indie rock like the Arctic Monkeys, Coldplay. I don't know if indie rock is Coldplay, but anyway. You had then grime from Dizzy Rascal and Wiley. That, you know, Dizzy Rascal was huge. It was a proper UK person, you know, artist that represented the streets of London and things like that. Whereas Poland, yes, you had the pop again, Doda, Edita, Gorniak. So you had the pop similar. Like, I think pop is just been very parallel with each other. Rock and metal with Koma and Behemoth. Poland, like I said, or a lot of the Eastern countries have rock just instilled in them. It's very, very big. Hip hop, obviously, as well. But what you found was in the UK, it obviously grime with Dizzy Rascal and Wiley and whatnot. Whereas I think grime was sort of a spin off of hip hop, and Poland stuck to the traditional hip hop, which you can see here with some of the examples. You know, and you look at indie rock. I love indie rock. It's sort of the it's tight jeans and it's, you know, it's guitars and whatnot. Whereas Poland would have stuck to the more traditional, harder rock. Whereas the UK probably went to softer rock, which, you know, indie style. Okay, on to the 2010s.
Adam stąd, tak będzie lepiej, już to wiem.
This is definitely
Ja uwielbiam ją, ona tu jest i tańczy dla mnie.
Mam tę moc, z nową zorą
Let It Go is
zbudzę
that.
się.
Przez te oczy zielone, oszalałe.
Is this Disco Polo?
Ona czuje we mnie pieniądz,
Yeah.
stroiła się jak bijąc.
Ona nie chce być taka sama jak ja, więc nagra nic nie zamierza się bać.
Miłość w Zakopanem, polewamy się szampanem. I just died in your arms
Well, I've heard
tonight.
this.
It must have been ona by tak chciała być tu ze mną, kręcić planty, po czym liczyć bankroll. Ona by tak chciała.
Sam tam wylewa
Okay,
się to.
right. We'll get back to 2020 because she is my favorite Polish artist at the moment. Now, okay, so in 2010s, this was an era that I remember, you know, this is my 20s. Is it my 20s? Yeah, coming into my 20s. Pop and EDM, like Calvin Harris, Dua Lipa, hip hop and grime, Stormzy, Skepta, less so my thing, and alternative and indie, Florence and the Machine, Adele. Whereas in Poland, once again, you have that pop, which you can see with people like Margaret and Sylwia Grzeszczak. Hip hop, once again, it's very similar to the 2000s, where we went hip hop and grime, whereas Poland stuck to the more traditional hip hop with Bonafide and Taco Hemingway, strange name, and then obviously alternative indie again. You know, and you guys had the Disco Polo revival, which, wow, you could see. Disco Polo is really catchy, though. It's really catchy. And I think, yeah, pop is just big in it all over, isn't it? That is the common theme each time round. Pop is just popular because that's what it stands for. But it is. I love to see that disco polo revival where it's just fun, it's silly, and it's catchy. That's what it is. Okay, we've got 3 more years to go, so let's watch the last 3 years. And as I said, the next one I love.
Okay,
Sana, Champagne, which is champagne.
Nie mam zamiaru się smucić, tylko zatracić tym, co
Kizzo,
najlepsze.
Disney.
Chcą się kłócić, chcą nas dusić.
And then last one.
Tańczysz teraz dla mnie, wyglądasz idealnie. Nie dzwoń do mnie mała, bo na mnie to nie działa. I chociaż bardzo chciałaś, to za mało.
Well, there you go. That is 2020 to 23. The UK pop, people like Harry Styles, Billie Eilish, hip hop and drill, Dave, Heady One. I've heard of Dave, but I don't know his songs. I don't know who Heady One is. And Afrobeat and global sounds is also big in recent years. Burna Boy, Wizkid. Whereas, once again, pop, Sana and David Podsiadwo. Sana, I love. Honestly, her new album has come out, and that is I know what it is. It's the piano version. It's piano songs, and it is Pianinkove Kapshise. Anyway, amazing songs. I really like on it. Which one is it? Spietusham. That's a really good song. Just fun and silly and catchy. And so Sana's huge. I really want to come over and watch it. But pop is just a common theme. Once again, hip hop, whereas the UK then has drill coming in, and obviously global music trends such as Afrobeat, global influences, very similar there. Now, there are a lot of similarities, but there are those subtle changes. Like I said, the disco polo, we don't really have an equivalent here. And when you look at through the years of hip hop, where you've stuck with the hip hop and we've sort of diversified into the grime and things like that, and just those slight differences. You guys have stuck with more heavy rock, whereas we've gone a softer indie rock. Pop is obviously huge everywhere. And then obviously in the earlier years, in the 70s, 80s, yes, our rock was anti-establishment, with people like the Sex Pistols and the Clash, and the Polish was very political indeed. A lot of it was very political. It's interesting to see the slight differences because you do notice, because I watch Eurovision every year, and I just sometimes think that a lot of the Eastern European countries, I know Poland is central, but you know what I mean. Culturally, it's been very Eastern for a long time. I just find that a lot of the songs that you associate seem very Eurovision-y. And that's not necessarily true, but you just have those thoughts and stereotypes in your head that may or may not be true. Well, hopefully you found that enjoyable, where I'm giving the comparison of where Polish music's gone over the last few years and what the UK equivalent or differences have been. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe. That is the easiest way you can support my channel. Make sure you go to Charlie and Rob on YouTube as well, and you will see all of our vlogs where we go to Poland. We've been Australia, Ireland. I've just been to Bosnia. Check them out, and I will be coming back to Poland in a couple of weeks' time. So very exciting. Go to the vlog channel, Charlie and Rob, and I will catch you next time. Do widzenia.